Hello dear learners, I am Dr. Vandana Yadav, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Science at the Bhopal School of Social Sciences, and today we are going to discuss physical and chemical properties of alkanes. In this lecture, we are going to cover non-polar nature, physical state, boiling point, solubility, sources of alkane, chemical reactivity and the important reaction of alkanes. So starting with non-polar nature of alkanes. Non-polar compounds. As you all know that alkanes are hydrocarbons having carbon-carbon and carbon-hydrogen bond. So the most important physical property of alkanes is lack of polarity. Now what is polarity? You can see, look at the carbon and hydrogen. They are having almost the similar electronegativity, and due to this similar electronegativity, there is no, or you can say there is no charge development, and hence due to this similar electronegativity, they are non-polar in nature. So what we can conclude that alkanes are what? Alkanes are non-polar compounds and they have weak interaction existing between the molecules. Therefore, they lack polarity in their structures. Moving on to the second property of alkanes, that is the physical state of alkanes. So let's discuss about the physical state of alkanes. Alkenes can exist as gas, liquid or solids at room temperature, starting with first member of the family, that is methane. So methane, that is CH4, the smallest member of the family, it is gas at room temperature, but it can be converted into liquid when you are going to cool it down at a temperature of -64 degrees. So that can be converted from gas to liquid if you are changing the temperature. Now the ability of any compound to exist as solid, liquid and gas means in any physical state depends on what? Depends on the intermolecular force of attraction. So what we can conclude? We can conclude that unbranched, remember, unbranched alkanes, right? Unbranched alkanes like methane, ethane, propane, that is with 1 carbon, with 2 carbon, with 3 carbon and with 4 carbon. They are basically gases, okay? They are basically gases. And if we move from alkanes with carbon 5, from carbon 5 to almost hexadecane, then they are liquids, and above higher members of the alkane family, they are solids. So talking about their physical property, based on the number of carbon they are having, we can categorize them these as gases, from carbon 5 to hexadecane as liquids, and above them as solids. Another property of alkanes is boiling point. Boiling point of alkanes is normally lower than any other type of functional group, or you can say any other compound which is having almost equal molecular weight as that of the alkane. Now what is the trend being observed? The trend observed is that as the molecular size increases, the molecular weight increases, and hence the boiling point of the alkane increases. This will be more clear from the table. So you can see that methane, ethane, propane, butane, pentane, hexane and their corresponding boiling point. So as it is clear from the table that as you are increasing the carbon in the alkane, as you are increasing the number of carbons in the alkane, you can see the change in the boiling point. And what is that? It is saying that alkenes containing normally 1 to 4 carbon, these I have already told you, they are gases, and you can see their boiling point. Then further from carbon 5 to these are liquid, and you can see the corresponding boiling point, which is increasing with increase in the number of carbon. And remember one thing, that compounds of alkane with having carbon 18 and above, they are called, remember this, they are called waxy solids. Now what is waxy solid? Most of the you can say the plants and animals, wax we obtain from nature, they are what? They are high molecular weight. Above this, they are high molecular weight alkanes, such as the wax on the apple skin, or you can say the paraffin wax we are using for candles. So you can see that boiling point is also directly, you can say, responsible for different property. So carbon 18 and above, they are solid, and their application is like paraffin wax or the wax present on the skin of the apple. Moving on to next property, that is solubility. Now solubility means what are the solvents which can be used for alkanes. So if we talk about alkanes, normal as well as your cycloalkanes, ring structures, they are almost, you can say, they are virtually insoluble in water, but they show solubility in organic solvents like benzene and all. Okay. But your liquid alkanes means alkanes from carbon 5. They are good solvent for many other covalent compounds. Okay, but now let's have a look that what will happen, or you can say when a molecule is dissolved in water, what occurs? What is happening basically when you are dissolving a molecule in water? So you can see that basically when you are dissolving a molecule in water, first thing which is occurring is breaking of the intermolecular force within the substance, and this is the case. Alkanes are having what? Van der Waals dispersion, that is called van der Waals dispersion forces. Breaking of intermolecular forces in water, okay, can also occur so that the molecule fits between the molecules of water, okay. But the primary intermolecular forces in this case are hydrogen bonding, but this is not the case for alkanes. So breaking of either van der Waals dispersion force or breaking of either your hydrogen bond, breaking of any type of bond, that require energy. Amount of energy might be different, but that require energy. If we talk about the amount of energy required for van der Waals dispersion forces, that accounts to be almost negligible. But this is not the case for hydrogen bonding. So for hydrogen bonding, you might require more amount of energy, but for van der Waals dispersion forces, like for example, I can take the example of methane, then in this case, the amount of energy you have to put in is almost negligible. So we can thus conclude that alkanes, either you are talking about your open chain alkanes or closed chain alkanes, they are soluble in what? They are soluble in organic solvents, but they are insoluble in water. Now the question arises, where do we get our alkanes from? So let's discuss sources of alkanes. So alkanes are widespread both on Earth as well as on other planets. If we talk about other planets, the atmosphere of your Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune, contains a large amount of methane, and you know methane is what? Methane, that is CH4, is the smallest alkane which is odorless, and as I've already told you, it is a flammable gas. And one more thing is there, that the blue color of Uranus and Neptune is due to the presence of methane in the atmosphere of these two planets. So methane is responsible for blue color of Uranus and Neptune. Now, talking about the presence of alkane on Earth. So alkanes on Earth are found in natural gas and petroleum. So we can say that natural gas, petroleum and coal, they are the reservoirs for alkanes. Alkanes on Earth are basically found in natural gas and petroleum, and how they are formed? They are formed by decomposition of plants and animals which are buried for long period in the earth crust. Therefore, you commonly call them fossil fuels. So they are called fossil fuel. So basically your alkenes are isolated from natural gas and petroleum. Now let's see what is the amount. So you can see that natural gas consists of 75% of methane, and 25% includes other small alkanes like ethane, propane and butane. So natural gas is 75% methane. So this serves as, you can say, a reservoir for extraction of alkane. Now, how is the alkane extracted from these natural gas or petroleum? So petroleum is what? Petroleum is also mixture of compounds, and it is the main source of all other, apart from your first carbon compound, it is also the main source of other alkanes like ethane, propane, butane, heptane, hexane and all. Now how we are separating them, that will be clear from the diagram which I am showing you. So the lighter fraction, basically it is called fractional distillation. So what happens, the lighter fraction are distilled from the mixture to produce what? Liquid alkanes. And I told you that carbon 5 to almost 16 carbon, they are liquid. So while the residue are solids, that means solid is what? Solid is above 16 carbon almost, and the liquid is what? From carbon 5 to carbon 16. So this is called fractional distillation. So let's have a look at the diagram which will give you a clear picture of what is going on in the fractional distillation. Before that, you must have heard about refineries. Refineries mainly of natural gas or petroleum. They are basically doing what? They are basically taking the mixture of alkanes and they are carrying out the fractional distillation, as you can see in the diagram. They are carrying out the fractional distillation. And what is fractional distillation? Fractional distillation is basically separating different alkanes based on their boiling point, which I have already discussed. So you can see in the diagram that, so starting from gasoline, that is petrol for your vehicles, then naphtha, then kerosene, diesel oil, lubricating oil and fuel oil. What you are observing in the trend is that we have started from 5 carbon and we have moved to carbon 70. That is what we can say is that small molecules from low boiling point to we are moving to large molecules which are having high boiling point. So small molecules with low boiling point and to large molecules which are high boiling point and which are not exactly very much volatile. So this is the fractional distillation of a crude oil. From this you are clear how we are obtaining different alkanes from our refineries. So this is called fractional distillation, which is carried out by what? By the difference in the boiling point, which is due to the greater number of carbon present in the different types of alkanes. Let's talk about chemical reactivity of alkanes. As I have already told you in the first slide that alkanes are non-polar. So alkanes contain carbon-carbon single bond and carbon-hydrogen bonds. But as you already know that it is non-polar. Okay, so non-polar nature, what we can say is that due to the non-polar nature, there is no portion in the molecule that can carry significant amount of positive or negative charge, which is required, like this, if I take, which is required for other molecules to be attracted to. So if it is not having any charge, then it cannot be easily attracted towards the other molecule. So net effect of this non-polarity is that they are just restricted to only few reactions. So that means when it has no charge, it can show only limited reactions, and these include burning, which is called combustion reaction. So basically burning, you burn anything, you destroy that molecule. So it is the destroying the entire alkane molecule. Second is the substitution, just the replacement of your hydrogen with any halogen like chlorine, fluorine, iodine. And last is called cracking. Cracking is basically you use high temperature pressure or you use a suitable catalyst to break the alkane. That is, you are focusing on breaking on carbon-carbon bond. So these are three reactions which are shown by alkanes due to lack of polarity in their structures. Starting with oxidation of alkanes. Alkanes can be oxidized to CO2 and water molecule by a mechanism which is called free radical mechanism, and this reaction release a certain amount of energy, and this energy is called heat of combustion. So as I already told you that heating is the process of breaking your alkane into carbon dioxide and water. We have seen in case of fractional distillation that your petrol is used in the vehicle and that is driving your vehicle. So that means they are generating some amount of heat, and that is called heat of combustion. But combustion can be complete as well as it can be incomplete. So combustion is called complete when all of your hydrocarbon will burn, remember, with a blue flame. Okay, but this is not the case in the every reaction. Combustion tends to be less complete as you are increasing the number of carbon. Like here I have shown you with 1 carbon and with 3 carbon, but this might not be the case with 5 carbon. So as you are increasing number of carbon, you are moving toward incomplete combustion reaction. So that means the bigger hydrocarbons are more likely to undergo incomplete combustion. Now, what is the product formed in the incomplete combustion? Let's have a look. Incomplete combustion, that is combustion where you don't have enough oxygen present. It can lead to two types of product, either your carbon or your carbon monoxide. Okay, now how we are going to observe that whether it is a complete combustion or whether it is an incomplete combustion? I have told you in complete combustion that they burn with a blue flame. But now, when only carbon is formed, okay, when you have product as carbon, not carbon dioxide, the flame, instead of having blue flame, you will be having a yellow flame. Okay, and your black carbon is often visible in smoke. So you have seen in certain vehicles that it is passing out so much of black powder and smoke. That means that vehicle is carrying out incomplete combustion. Now, if some oxygen can interact with carbon, okay, if some of the oxygen, because there is scarcity or limited oxygen supply, so if some of the oxygen react with carbon, but that is not enough to produce carbon dioxide, so what we obtain? We obtain carbon monoxide, and you all know it is a poisonous gas. It is one of the main gas responsible for pollution, for breathing problem, and many other ailments in human beings. So this is called incomplete combustion. You have observed in case of old vehicles. So old vehicles are just giving out smoke. Smoke means they are producing what? They are producing carbon monoxide, which is the result of limited supply of oxygen, and that is called incomplete combustion of your fuel. Now, another important reaction shown by your alkanes is cracking. Cracking, what is cracking? Crack, as the word is crack, okay, breaking. So basically, cracking is the name given to breaking of what? Breaking up of a bigger molecular chain like this into small molecules, which are also useful. This can be done either you are providing high temperature like 500 or above, okay, without the catalyst, or you can use lower temperature. For that you will require catalyst, and nowadays very important and very successful catalyst is zeolites. Zeolites are sodium aluminosilicates. They are a part of green chemistry also. So some either you can carry out in absence of catalyst, or you can carry out in presence of catalyst like zeolite. Now what happens during cracking? I'll show you some reactions also. The hydrocarbon are broken into random way. Like if I have a 5 carbon chain, so it is not that it will break from center. Maybe it will break into 3 carbon and it will break into 2 carbon. Or there might be possibility that this can break into 4 carbon plus 1 carbon. So it is a random process. You cannot justify that it will break into 2 carbon and 3 carbon. So it is a random way, and it is producing what? It is producing, basically you can see the mixture of hydrocarbons, and some of them can even have what? They can have carbon double bond carbon. So that means it is not that alkane is going to produce a saturated compound. It is possibility that some compounds can be unsaturated and some can be saturated. So let's have a look at some of the reactions of cracking. So let's see a very important example of cracking. You have a compound C8H8, 8 carbons, and when it undergoes cracking, okay, so it breaks into 6 carbon, 2 carbon, and this ethene, remember this is a double bonded or unsaturated compound. It can also break into butane, ethene, methane, and carbon. So you can see one of the alkane, based on the temperature you are giving, it can either form 2 products or it can form 4 different products. So this is a very important reaction showing you cracking at different temperature and producing mixture of smaller alkanes. Third reaction shown by alkanes is substitution, or we can say conversion of alkanes to alkyl halide. This reaction occurs in presence of either heat or light, and alkanes can react with halogens to form alkyl halide, or we call them haloalkanes. And this type of reaction is categorized as substitution. Why substitution? Because when you are starting with alkane and the product is what? Product is your alkyl halide. So one of the H is being substituted by the halogen. So therefore it is called substitution reaction. You should note that all alkanes do not react with alkanes in the same way. For example, the reaction between alkanes and fluorine. Okay, this reaction is considered to be explosive and it is of little interest to the chemist. Why? Because it is a dangerous reaction which can explode anytime. Why is it so? Because the product we expect from this reaction is alkyl fluoride, but instead of getting alkyl fluoride, our reaction product is this. So therefore it is an explosive reaction because it generates so much amount of energy that it is dangerous to carry out fluorination in our normal lab. So this reaction, substitution of fluorine of alkane, is not carried out in our normal labs due to its explosive nature. So fluorine, you can say, does not react, or you can say if it reacts, it does not produce our desired product, so it is of little interest. Moving on to other halogens or other halides, you can see that the alkanes and iodine, they do not react. Why they do not react? Because normal lab conditions are not sufficient to carry out the reaction, and neither it is useful to carry out the reaction at a very high temperature. So this is also not feasible reaction. Two reactions which are of interest and which are very useful for our different researches is the reaction between alkanes and chlorine, which is called chlorination, and the reaction between alkanes and bromine, which is called bromination. Okay, these two reactions are very important and they occur in presence of, you can see, light and heat, and you get the desired alkyl halide. Both of the reaction proceed through free radical mechanism, which is a chain reaction, so which involves chain initiation, chain propagation and chain termination. So this we are going to discuss in detail with its free radical mechanism and evidences which supports the presence of free radical mechanism. So today we discussed some of the important physical and chemical properties of alkane. In the next lecture we are going to focus on chlorination and bromination and its mechanism. Till then, happy learning. Thank you.